Hey there. So I wanted to talk to you guys today a little bit about the idea of houses and the idea of, more importantly, home. What does home mean to me, and why do I use the theme of homes in my work? I think the one that most people would identify with seeing my work, especially with the idea of skulls and skeletons, would be funeral homes. I went to mortuary school in Pittsburgh back in 2005 and started working in funeral homes while I was in mortuary school. For a few months while I was in school, I actually lived on the third floor of a funeral home. And then as students, we would help out with funerals and help out with embalmings. And when the phones rang at night and somebody passed away, we would be the ones answering the phones and getting in the car and going and picking those people up. So I think that adding the idea of funeral homes into my work is a little bit of a self-portrait in a way. It's adding part of my history into the work. Another idea I think that I pull from, especially as a kid, was my love for Halloween. And haunted houses were always a big part of growing up for me. I always remembered, hand making Halloween costumes and carving pumpkins and doing all of that stuff. And I just always remembered the seasons changing and the leaves changing, and all of that stuff still resonates with me as an artist. So I think you'll still see a lot of those elements in my work today. And I think as I've gotten older, being a homeowner, the idea of just being home is something that's so important to me. I've always been a bit of a homebody, bit of an introvert. Home to me it's safety, it's protection, it's it's where my loved ones are, it's where my animals are, it's where I work. So I think when you see those elements of home in my work today, I am using them in a positive light. I don't think anything in my work personally is ever truly negative. I think some people see it as dark and gloomy and sad, but I feel like I always have a good reason for that. So wanted to show you guys some of the homes that I recently have done. So a company here in Ohio actually approached me and said, hey, we have all of this scrap wood. They're a manufacturing company, and this was kind of the runoff from what they were using it for, and they're saying, we don't have use for it, we don't want to throw it away, but if we could find some use for it, we would love to do that. And I ended up taking the entire stack home. The wood is super high quality, and it was something that I could use to make more art with. So I think I've always been a big fan of folk art and using materials that that could be considered found objects or scrap wood. I've always had a love for folk art. People using house paint and piece of metal and whatnot to make their art with. One that stands out particularly to me is Reverend Howard Finster. He would make these wood cutouts and put Bible verses on the backs of them. So I think that's kind of where I got the inspiration to make these homes from. So let me show you what I've been working on here. So this first one is a bit more like what I was saying before. It's very welcoming, and it's a very happy piece. I feel like the colors are very bright. You can see, it almost acts as a shelf. Some people have actually said that they would love to use these for shelves on the walls. And then I'm drawing on the back, signing them. This would probably, these other ones are, I would say, a bit more reminiscent of, the funeral homes that I worked in. You can see that there's some graves in the ground there. I'm also really obsessed with churches and religious imagery. I was raised Catholic, and I think staring at religious imagery as a kid, I always kind of got obsessed with the crucifixions and the crosses and the Sacred Hearts, and that stuff always just with the crosses in the eyes and Sacred Hearts and whatnot all just stuck with me. I saw a lot of that stuff too when I worked at funeral homes. So, we would go do masses at churches, and I would just sit in the back. That also introduced me to a lot of other different religions, especially like Russian and Greek Orthodox churches that I've never been inside of before, that are just ceiling to floor covered in iconography, especially with a lot of gold, metallics. And this is what I would say has remnants of more like the Halloween, with the ghost in it. Think about it, an old funeral home with some spirits hanging out. It's a one question I get asked about a lot. As a guy that worked in funeral homes, was, have you ever had anybody move or hear anybody or hear anything? And I think the only thing that I can remember was embalming about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would hear little feet running across the first floor of the funeral home as I was embalming somebody down in the basement. But nobody ever came down to say hi or tried to scare me or anything, so I'm hoping that they were friendly ghosts. Anyways, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm going to be doing a lot more studio videos from here on out, kind of showing process of what I'm working on, and kind of just talking about my work a bit more, and showing upcoming projects and releases that I have. So if there's anything else that you guys want to see specifically, let me know. You know, really, I'm always excited to talk about my work and talk to people about what I'm doing. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.